This just in, Kyle. The Canucks are trading up from 11th overall in the draft next week. Matvei Michkov, Leo Carlson. Let's go, baby. Locked on Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Trade Talk, baby. Let's go. Welcome and thanks for hitting the play button on today's episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, Canucks writer and credentialed media member for Daily High Vancouver. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. And before we dive into the show, we want to thank you for listening to Locked On Canucks. It's your team every day. Make sure you subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. On today's show, we're going to talk about the Allvin press conference, specifically the fact that he talked about trading up in the draft next week. Woo! We're also going to talk about, we're just going to touch on some other things from the presser, including Tyler Myers, Elias Pettersson, and whatever Kyle wants to talk about in this little segment called Trevor's Notes, presented by Kyle. And speaking of that guy, Kyle Bhawan, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. It's a sunny day, another chance to conquer life, right? Do what we get to do. And speaking of that, look at what we get to do here. Talk about the Canucks every day on Locked On Canucks, your team every day. And it's pretty clear that your team is never boring, okay? I look at a chart, okay? I looked at the top 100 podcasts in the world of hockey in Canada, and 9 of them were from Vancouver. I think 8 of them primarily covered the Vancouver Canucks. Just think about that. The team sucks. They never won Stanley Cups. But that's a crazy number. I think that's the Jason Botchford effect, but also it's the Vancouver Canucks fandom effect. Hey, speaking of those fans, Comment Corner at the end of the episode, man, oh man, trading up, using that language, having a smirk while saying it. Yo, Patrik Allvin is either playing with the media, playing with the people, trying to entertain, or being serious. And I think he's being a little serious because of a guy named Michkov. I don't know a lot about him, but I think he just makes a lot of sense for the Vancouver Canucks, Trevor Beggs.
Yeah, you mentioned him before, Kyle, and I'd be absolutely shocked if Michkov fell to the Canucks. I think he's got too much skill. Like, he should be a top 3 player in this draft. Like, there's no way he should slip to the Canucks at 11th overall. No, I don't even care that he's Russian. I think it's crazy to think that guy's going to slip into past the top 10. But hey, if the Canucks trade up, you never know. There's certainly more of a shot.
It is. But just think about this, Trevor. Think about this. If they trade up to get the second best player in this draft, apparently, maybe the third best player, but one of those guys, superstar talent. If they trade up to get that guy and they know that they have to wait a couple of years, probably 3, to go get him back from Russia to Vancouver, wouldn't that fit their salary cap structure? Like getting a superstar, making ELC money right around the time that OEL's cap hit against this team is pretty big?
Yeah,
I think
100%.
this makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. I think in general, again, we got 2 years of the OEL buyout where it's not going to be too big of a cap hit, but in years 3 and 4 of that buyout, cap hit's pushing $5 million. So you really want, someone who you pick in this year's draft in the first round to be making an impact on their ELC. And that's why even on yesterday's episode, I talked about how as much as I like Tom Willander, as much as I like Dmitry Simashev, I'd have a really hard time passing up on Zach Benson if he slips to the Canucks 11th overall. But Zach Benson is a player who can slide, so I don't want to touch about him too much today. I want to touch on which teams could the Canucks potentially trade with to move up if they do move up in the draft. And again, the reason we're talking about this is because Allvin said in the press conference yesterday, quote, there have been a lot of calls regarding the 11th overall pick. And then he goes to talk about trading up. He does not mention trading down. He talks about trading up in the draft with a little smirk on his face. And then he dropped this quote later in the press conference. I was told by Brian Burke that you can always move up in the draft. This guy, man, he's toying with our emotions. So I'm going to highlight a couple teams here who I think could make sense. And really, they're teams that probably want to push win now mode sooner rather than later. Let's just go to the spiciest one at the top here, Kyle. And I think it's the Columbus Blue Jackets at number 3 overall. I know it would be a big jump, but again, Columbus has been unpredictable so far. They've traded for Severson. They've traded for Provorov. They signed Gaudreau less than 12 months ago. This team wants to win. I don't think this team wants a big, long, patient rebuild. Like, they want to win now. So is there a scenario, we talked about this before, about if there's a deal to be made between Columbus and Vancouver, is there a scenario where the Canucks could trade with Columbus and move up to 3rd overall?
What's that gonna take though? Is that I don't think that's as simple as 11 and Podkolzin to get up
No,
to
I
3.
think it's I
I
think the
think it's a lot
conversation
more.
starts with Miller and 11th for the 3rd overall pick. That's
Whoa,
where the
you're going
conversation
there.
starts.
Even with that $8 million contract. Okay, well, let me ask you. Let's ask the people. Are you doing that? Are you doing that? Miller and 11 for the number 3 overall pick. I think a lot of people are probably doing that. Real
Yeah,
talk.
I think a lot of Canuck fans are doing it. I mean, I had my hesitations initially because the Canucks want to win this year. Miller's a good player. You're giving up,
A really good player. Come on, Trevor.
you're giving up a first line player and 11th overall pick, but that number 3 pick, you are potentially getting a superstar to set you up for the next 10 years. You're potentially getting, another Elias Pettersson. And the guy I'm looking at if the Canucks move up to number 3 is Leo Carlsson. Got Patrik Allvin. He obviously knows Swedish hockey pretty well. You got Leo Carlsson, who, as a draft -1 player, scored at a half point per game right in the SHL. Leo Carlsson is getting the comparisons to Mikko Rantanen, and I can kind of see why, because he can play a bit of center, he can play a bit of wing. Both Rantanen and Carlson are bigger bodies, and both scored at around a half point per game pace in a men's league in their draft -1 season. So look at it this way: if Leo Carlson is the next Mikko Rantanen, let's frame it again. Are you doing that move, trading Miller and the 11th overall pick for the potentially the next Mikko Rantanen?
Or Mitchkov. Or whoever they
Or
want at number
Mitchkov,
3.
or
Okay, but,
Mitchkov, yeah.
so how was again, is Miller enough? Like, isn't it trading Miller and then retaining some of his salary too? I don't know, because does Columbus even have the cap space? I'm looking like they have, what, less than $5 million? I just feel like Miller's contract
Maybe
is
maybe we have to take a Branson.
unmovable sometimes. Oh, man. Oh, man. You're doing whatever it takes, to get Miller out of here. What's another player slash asset that the Canucks have to attach to 11 to move up, whether it be 3 or 4? Like, who else? I brought up the name Podkolzin.
Yeah. I
Höglander,
mean
is
I
that
mean,
even
maybe
enough to
that
push the needle, though? I don't know. I don't think so.
it feels like it's starting to get steep, right? Just to move up 8 spots in the draft, but I think it's more than that when you're talking about moving up from 11 to 3rd. You're talking about moving up into that, like, almost 1st overall territory. I bet Leo Carlsson would be 1st overall in some drafts. I'm gonna tell you right now, I can almost guarantee that Leo Carlsson is gonna be a better NHLer than Juraj Slafkovsky, who went 1st overall last year. So,
Whoa,
yeah, I mean,
damn, bro. Come on, the guy's
Miller,
like 19 years
Podkolzin,
old,
and
man. Look at
11th.
you just
Whew.
hating on the youth, man. Hating on the youth, man. You were once 19.
It's not
Come on,
his.
man.
Hey, okay. Let's back up for a second. No, I know, I
That's
know, I'm
hating.
getting old and crusty. But I'm not hating on the youth.
You're
I'm
just
just
saying.
showing some extra appreciation towards Leo Carlson. That's all. I love
And
Slovaks. How many times have I talked about that on the show?
That's true. That's true. All the food they eat, all like, the scenery. Yeah, man, for real. Okay, so you're 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 more open to trading up in the draft to get Carlson than you are Mitchkov slash Reinbacher.
If it's 3rd overall, Leo Carlson for sure, because I think Pettersson and Carlson down the middle. Again, we got the only Swedish gem in the NHL.
Oh
Now that
man,
you have the potential to have Pettersson and Carlson, this dynamic 1-2 Swedish punch down the middle for the next decade. I mean, that's a pretty tantalizing proposition for the Vancouver Canucks. And come on, we've been little Sweden for the last 20 years in the
and
NHL. I
how's
think
that worked out for
it makes
us?
too much sense.
How's that worked out for us, buddy? Look at what
I mean,
Vegas just did, man. Oh Canada,
you need more
oh
Canadians.
Canada.
Yeah. I'm not going to say that has worked out for the Canucks. I mean, yeah, we haven't won a cup, but with the Swedes, they've been more than good to the city, man. The Sedins gave us, 15 years of iconic memories. Pettersson's a top 10, top 15 player in
True,
the NHL. So I'm
true,
not
true,
about to say
true.
just because we haven't won a cup that it's been a mistake to draft these Swedes.
Get those good old Canadian boys, right? Trevor Beggs, Kyle Bowen, locked on Canucks. Okay. So what other teams? Let's move off of the 3 spot. Who else would want to move down from that top 7, top 8 range? I guess like top 7 range. Yeah.
Yeah, for the top 7, I'm struggling to see the fit. I mean, I wonder if it's maybe the Montreal Canadiens. I honestly have a hard time seeing anyone in that top 7 moving down, but maybe the Montreal Canadiens. But I think Montreal, again, they're in rebuilding mode. I know they have some top talent, but I think they would like another crack in the top 5. I'm telling you right now, I feel like I'm poo-pooing a Euro Slavkovsky, but if they pick like a Will Smith or a Matvey Michkov there, I bet those guys are probably going to be better than Slafkovsky too. So I don't
Holy
think Montreal
crap,
is moving
dude.
down. But again, I think Montreal's just extremely capped out right now. Maybe there's a world where, they clear some cap space, and the punishment for that is kind of moving back 6 spots in the draft. But it's going to take more than that from the Canucks too. The other team
How
I'm
about
really eyeing. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say San Jose?
I don't think so. I think San Jose has, you know, they're they've stockpiled a lot of like defense and goalie prospects right now, but I think they really, really could use an elite talent up front. So I have
Okay.
a hard time seeing San Jose moving down. I have a hard time seeing Arizona moving down. Philly's just started to rebuild. I have a hard time seeing them moving down. I think it's out of that top 7, it's really Columbus. But when you get to that 8, 9, 10, the picks just ahead of the Canucks, I could see potentially any of those teams moving down a couple picks. Like Washington at 8th overall, I think is a prime candidate to move down because they still have Ovechkin. They think maybe there's one more kick at the can while he's in the NHL. So I can see Washington moving down, and maybe I'll shout out Sean Warren from Area 51 Sportsnet on Twitter. He had a trade proposal, and it was JT Miller in the 11th overall pick for Evgeny Kuznetsov in the 8th overall pick. And really, the logic to doing that deal is that Kuznetsov, similar salary to Miller, he's making 7.8 million compared to Miller's 8, but Kuznetsov's deal expires in 2 years, whereas Miller has another 7. Um, so it gave me food for thought. I still don't love the deal because I just don't love the fit with Kuznetsov. An aging player. He's known to be a bit of a lazy player, a bit of a troublemaker. I know he's won a cup, but he's just so hot and cold that, I don't love that. I don't love that proposal, but it gave me some pause.
Yeah, and I don't really see Washington doing that, trading down in the draft, obviously acquiring Miller, but letting go of Kuznetsov. I feel as if I know Miller's done some great things over the last couple of years, and Kuznetsov's kind of, fallen off statistically. I just still view him as someone who still has potential to be like an X factor type of player. And uh, again, 2 years versus 7 more years of $8 million. Not really knowing what you're going to get from JT as well. Keep in mind the guy's not a playoff performer too. I think I'm just saying the pedigree is not that crazy with JT Miller. I appreciate this guy. I'm kind of content with the way he plays, and I'm trying to put some positivity out there because I feel as if we're stuck with him. We got to make the most of it and not spread that negativity. Right? He's our guy. He's not going anywhere. I don't see Washington trading down and picking up that contract. You just doing anything to get JT Miller. How come you haven't mentioned any other names? Like, I don't know. Like, again, you kind of brushed off Podkolzin, Hoglander as sweeteners to move up. Maybe like the 2030 second round pick because the Canucks don't have any. What else can they do to move up 3 spots in the draft?
Yeah, I mean, it would be attaching a third round pick maybe. I don't know. I have a hard time seeing them do it because again they've traded away their second round pick in the next 2 drafts. Are you going to trade Podkolzin and Hoglander just to move up 3 spots? I don't think
I don't think
so.
so.
I think
Yeah.
JT Miller makes the most sense because he's got the big contract. He doesn't necessarily fit in this team's window, and he's probably a valuable asset to other teams all at the same time. So
Yeah.
that's why he's the most fascinating player on the Canucks to me. But we'll see what happens. I think Columbus and Washington, to me, are the 2 teams to watch for if the Canucks do move up in the draft. But let us know in the comments if the Canucks do move up in the draft. What trade do you think they're going to swing? Let us know, and we'll probably read it out in comment corner because we love talking about this stuff.
Yeah, man. Come on. We're addicted. Yeah. I'm addicted to the Vancouver Canucks right now. Again, waking up every morning. No more meditation music. No more calling the mom, calling the dad. No more calling the girl. I'm listening to Halford and Bruff. I'm listening to 32 Thoughts. I'm listening to anything hockey. Okay. It is what it is. We're nuts. And again, this market is nuts. Okay. Pushing 9 podcasts in the top 100 in Canada. Only Vancouver can do this. This city deserves so much more from its on ice product. Trevor Bags. Let's cut to break. Let's run Trevor's notes after. Locked on Canucks, your team every day.
There we go. And for now, again, we're reaching that top 100, Kyle. I love it. I love it. And here's something else that should be in the top 100 apps you have on your phone. Game Time. All right. I'm a big last minute deals guy, and I found that the best place for killer deals at the last minute is Game Time. Game Time, they got my back. I get these emails from Nicole at Game Time, and she's always teasing me with concerts and events this week in my area. Not only are those weekly emails a tease, but Game Time also offers me flash deals on last minute tickets. What's even better than that is that they have a lowest price guarantee along with event protection cancellation. It doesn't end there. You can also get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Now I have no choice but to get off my crusty old man rear end and check out a show on a Friday night. So make sure you snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
Okay. We're back here on Locked On Canucks. Your team every day. Trevor Beggs, Kyle, Bhawan. I feel as if Trevor, you've been more lively today. Feel as if the baby did you well this day or this night and gave you more sleep, or you're just living in the moment and embracing the fact that you should be just grateful for breathing and being able to love family, man. For real, you're blessed, Trevor.
I honestly, man, I'm just jacked up right now,
Yeah.
welcoming a new human life to the world. Summertime's hidden, man. The NHL draft's coming up. We're talking trades. We're here every day on Locked On Canucks with stuff to talk about. I'm getting to talk to you, buddy. I'm just jacked up on life right now.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Hey, speaking about life, man, there's no Locked On Canucks. This thing is not living without the studio that I'm a part of, right? Who knows? Maybe I could do this from home, but if that was the case, then maybe I'd be working a day job and then Trevor Beggs and I would have to coordinate, and it'd just be harder to do this. And a big reason why the studio is breathing, living is because of the music. And we got a new project coming out of the studio from Cody Lawless,
Woo!
Sunshine State of a Happy Camper. I'll put the link to Cody Lawless in the bio below, and I'm gonna give the people till Monday, right? Listen to it or listen to any of the music that he's dropped, and let's talk about it, man. I'm curious, man. I'm curious. Again, there's no Locked On Canucks without the studio, and there's no studio without the music. There's also no Locked On Canucks without Trevor, because this guy, he's working triple time, quadruple time, doing whatever it takes to make sure the show is up and running with his brain and the research he does on this team called the Vancouver Canucks. Let's run it. Trevor's notes. Okay, the first thing that I see from your notes is something pretty polarizing. Okay, I think Allvin took a shot here. Okay, for real. This was a weird way to say peace out to OEL. I know I know I'm reading too
Oh,
much into
man.
it, but let's look at this, okay? He mentioned that the OEL buyout was an opportunity too good to pass up on. I love the honesty. I love the honesty, man.
I couldn't believe it, man. I know this quote was like what 30 seconds into the presser, so I tweeted it out right away. But I just I couldn't believe he actually said this was too good of an opportunity to pass up on. That was too good of an opportunity for me not to tweet it out to the world. I mean, Alvin said this time and time again in the press conference. He talked about OEL being a good person, but this was performance based. So it was interesting because I think it was a bit like black and white. Like Alvin did kind of say it how it was. And I kind of appreciated that from it. A lot of the times, he did that in this
Me
press
too.
conference. He beats around the bush with stuff, but I think with the OEL stuff in particular, I think he was pretty honest and open about it.
Yeah, and it's what it has to be the case more often than not. I think that relatability, that transparency, and I think the market here appreciates that for real. Because during the prime of this team, Brian Burke, a little bit of Dave Nonis, but he was a little bit more quieter. Then we had Mike Gillis. I just feel like the honesty and the transparency it works well with this market, and maybe he didn't mean to be so upfront about it, but it came out. It really came out. He
Yeah.
was even trying to say, OEL, great team guy, great for the community, and then he was like, you know what? But this wasn't a great fit for Oliver. I was like, whoa, bloody, just say this guy sucked. This guy sucked as a Vancouver Canuck. One person that hasn't sucked as a Vancouver Canuck is Pettersson. And what's he saying about Pettersson, man? Don't ruin this for me.
Yeah, he keeps saying that we have 2 years to sign Pettersson, and it grinds my gears every time he says it. Look, I'm not expecting a deal to get done this summer. I mean, it'd be nice if the Canucks get it done. I think it'd be a huge win for this organization if they could lock up Pettersson long term before the season starts. But I'm skeptical. I mean, we're starting to see trends on the NHL. We've seen it in Vancouver with the Kuzmenko contract. We just saw it recently with the Gavrikov contract. Again, these are all Dan Milstein clients, but I digress. Um, there's a lot of talk, obviously, about the cap going up dramatically in the last couple of years. Allvin was asked about it in this press conference, and he talked about how, yeah, it is challenging to navigate these certain scenarios. So I could certainly see a world right now where this Pettersson extension is going to get dragged into next summer.
Oh, nah. Come on,
I hope
Trevor,
I'm
man.
wrong. I
You are
hope
just
I'm
the
wrong.
most negative person all the time on this
You know
program,
what,
man.
Matt? Every
Dude,
time I
come
call it
on,
like it
dude.
is, and you don't like
Dude,
it, you're
of
calling me
course, I'm
negative,
gonna
man.
call you negative, man. Don't even put that stuff out there, bro. We don't need that energy. Out of everything
I
you
do cover
said
the
on this
Vancouver
program,
Canucks, man. Come on.
that was the worst thing you've ever said in your life. For real, man. Come
Wow.
on, we don't need that energy. I don't want it to drag on till next season. I had somebody in the comments say something about the Pettersson video too that we uploaded a while ago. He said, no, they need to see more from Pettersson before we commit long term to him. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Watch the film, look at the stats, just listen to the way this guy speaks. He's wired, he's in tuned. He's focused on getting better. He's a stoic. He's a great leader, and the Canucks desperately always need a superstar on this side of the world. Okay, the city needs a superstar. Vancouver needs one, and Pettersson is that guy. Boeser was supposed to be a superstar, and maybe he's going to get back to that because this guy's training. I'm hearing he's training a lot in Vancouver. I'm not saying this is true, but I'm hearing grouse grind twice a day. The grouse grind twice a day before 1 p.m. That's the type of
Wow.
mission this guy's on.
Yeah,
Don't quote me,
he even climbs down the gross grind. He doesn't take the gondola down. So
dude.
working on the hammies too. So good on Brock Besser. Look, again, I'm not expecting this guy to be traded. I think the Athletic did just release an article about 6 teams that might and should target Brock Besser. I'm hoping Besser bounces back with the Canucks, man, because I just don't think the Canucks are gonna get fair value for him on the trade market. And
Yeah,
if that's the case, I'd rather just keep him.
You're a big time Besser fan, a big time JT hater. Who's done more for the Canucks over the last couple of years?
I'm a
It's
big time. I
Gibson.
want my team to get value if they actually make a trade, and I think they're gonna get more value for JT than they are Brock Besser. In fact, I know that.
If
I don't
Brock
really
is
know
a,
that. I'm just talking
i-
up my ass, but
if Brock is a smart guy, if he's a smart guy, and he wants some relatability, some inspiration, some juice,
Ugh.
spend your nights watching Brock Lesnar highlights every night. Dude, I've done it for days and days and days and days and days and days, yo. I'm watching, the best Steph Curry highlights, the best Klay Thompson highlights, the best Aaron Rodgers highlights. Well, I used to do that. Now I'm
Boo.
like inspirational performances and excellence in the world of sports to pump me up. Imagine Brock Besser just doing just spending all his nighttime. When you're on your bed and you're on your phone, just spending all that time with Brock Lesnar highlights, going to sleep, knowing that there's another guy named Brock in this world and he dominated for decades, and it's never too late for Brock Besser to do the same. Apparently, it's not too late for Tyler Myers to be decent. Apparently, he played a lot better under Tocchet. I think a lot of the players did. Maybe that was a coach's bump. Look, the $5 million bonus, it's due sometime in September. Maybe the Canucks can move off of him then in a recession, right? Because they have to pay that $5 million. I just don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. Not a lot of value here. I guess the positivity coming out of Alvin's mouth is good for manifestation. For real. Let's go, Tyler
Yeah.
Myers. He's one of us.
Yeah. I think it's a lot of posturing too, right? It's like they probably know they can't trade Tyler Myers, so you may as well pump the guy up.
Yeah, 100%. That was Trevor's notes brought to you by Kyle on Locked On Canucks. We're about to go to break. But before we do that, okay, we got to talk about yesterday for real, okay? We got to talk about yesterday. Yesterday, we dropped an episode talking about some of the free agents the Vancouver Canucks should stay away from. Okay, move those shoulders. Okay, move those shoulders. All right, a lot of players on this list. I was surprised to see Barbashev. We also talked a little bit about Ryan O'Reilly too. You know the deal too. Trevor Beggs hates Carson Soucy. If that guy becomes a Vancouver Canuck, Trevor Beggs is going to quit his job. He's no longer going to. He's no longer going to cover the Vancouver Canucks. That's how
Oh
passionate
man.
he is. As you can tell, again, Trevor Beggs so busy living life in reality. Doing the real things, doing what life's all about. And you're still here for the people on Locked On Canucks, your team every day. Speaking about the people, comment corner on the other side. Trevor Beggs, are we giving anyone a shout out here on YouTube?
Oh, not only are we giving a sponsor shout out, I have this sponsor all over my body right now, and it is Birddogs. Okay, I was feeling older, I was feeling grumpier, I was looking crustier, but that was until I put on these Bird Dog shorts, baby. Okay, Bird Dogs, they make you look good. These Bird stretch khaki shorts are designed to fit slimmer through the thigh, giving your leg a truly sculpted look. Chicken legs, my chicken legs are not being shown off to the world. Oh yeah, baby. Hey, Bird shorts, they do the exact same thing as Lululemon, but they fit way better. And guess what? Birddogs uses an anti-stick sweat wicking fabric that keeps you cool and dry all day long. So go to birddogs.com/lockedonnhl for a free Yeti-style tumbler with your order. That's birddogs.com/lockedonnhl for a free Yeti-style tumbler. You won't want to take your bird dogs off. I promise you.
Okay, you're back on Locked On Canucks, your team every day. Trevor Beggs, Kyle Bhawan. If you enjoy the program that, again, comes at you every day, subscribe below or follow us wherever you stream podcasts and leave us a review. Why not? Why not? Trevor Beggs, Kyle Bhawan. For the people, man, for the people. Comment corner coming at you right now. Comment number 1 comes from he told us his real name here, okay? Darren. And funny story about Darren, okay? I went to school with Darren, and he leaves this comment. We grew up together. And I always had a feeling because I seen him in the live chat, and his live chat name is like DJ last name. And I'm like, yo, is this him? Is this him? And it happened to be him. So shout out to that guy. Shout out to Surrey. Shout out to Green
Nice.
Timbers. Shout out to Ember Creek. Shout out to the beautiful people of Surrey, British Columbia, sending love, to the world, but, really looking after my neighbors and sending them a lot more love. Second comment comes from Murray Reed. I think you guys have to realize that there's a different GM/president now. You guys have to be more positive. And I blamed you. I blamed you. Now, IQ came in from the top rope and said, yeah, I know, but it's the same owner. Okay, here's the thing about the owner, okay? Aquilini been all over the place, been inconsistent with his relationship with the Vancouver Canucks, and not the smartest individual in the world of hockey. I think he's proven that time in and time out over the last couple of years. But he did just fork out $20 million. And I know he might have saved some money too, because at the end of the day, they're not paying the complete amount that OEL was due. Let's say he was actually decent, they'd have to pay him more. But again, $20 million, just like that. I think Aquilini for 11 more days deserves no hate here. I know that's coming from me, and I've hated a lot on the guy.
Yeah, you're right, Kyle. I mean, you mentioned 5 minutes ago about me being too negative, so you probably could blame me on this one. I've poured my blood, sweat, and tears into loving this team my entire life, man, and they've let me down more than they've pumped me up. But
Whoa.
at the end of the day, I think I've been pretty. There's been mixed reviews about this new management team, right? There's some moves I've liked, there's some moves I've hated, but it's wait and see move. I'm not just gonna pump them up and be positive for the sake of being positive. I'm going to call it like it is, and that's never going to change for the listeners here on Locked On Canucks.
Yeah, you got to be honest, man. Always keep it honest. Be your true self. That's the only way you can be set free. And set free to what? Financial freedom. Kyle Bhawan, Trevor Begg. Next comment, it's from IQ. And IQ just left us an essay. Now I'm trying to realize why they call this guy IQ. And he was really going into the whole maternity leave thing and blah, 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 and how Trevor deserves every day off until his child can walk. Because it's hard being a dad. It's hard being a dad, okay? I'm just joking. IQ didn't say that, but Trevor Beggs, you're living the dream right now, okay? Next comment goes to the real AT. I'm starting to think that the Canucks should target Matt Dumba. Now, this is funny because I spent the latter half of the show calling you dumb because the commenters were also calling you dumb. And then this guy brings up Matt Dumba, sorry. And I was like, yo, what do you think that would cost the Canucks? Like, what would Minnesota want? And he's like, yo, Dumba's a UFA.
Yep.
So, I'm the Dumba here, okay? Trevor, why haven't you mentioned Dumba's name once?
I mean, it's funny that thanks for commenting again.
Yeah.
I missed the name, but thanks for commenting. Ironically enough, I did just talk about Matt Dumba in an article I published on Daily Hive today. 9 free agent defensemen that the Canucks should chase with the Oliver-ekman-larsson money, and Dumba was the second guy on my list. I think Matt Dumba's game has changed a lot. He's not the offensive dynamo that he once was, but he's blocking more shots. He's playing more PK. He's throwing the body around a bit more. If he can stay healthy and if he comes at the right cost, I really like his game because, again, he can skate really well. And that's a big bonus in today's NHL. I'm just looking at his contract projection on AFP Analytics. They have him at a 3-year deal at $4.4 million per season. I have a feeling he's not going to get that much the free agent market. I mean, this guy had 4 goals and 14 points last year. Carson
Oh,
Soucy outscored him. Okay, so I
ooh,
see Matt Dumba kind of in that $3 to $3.5 million range. And if if Matt Dumba can come to the Canucks at that price, I really like him. But if you start pushing $4 million for Matt Dumba, even 3 seems a little rich to me. But if you start pushing 3.5, 4 for Matt Dumba, I'd probably be walking away from that. But he's definitely a player that intrigues me on the free agent market for sure.
wow. Wow. Finally, it could happen. We've been hearing for years and years and years and years that Dumba could be a Vancouver Canuck. Thanks so
Dumba
much.
and Boeser on the same team, man. Who would have
Oh,
thought?
dude, if that's the case, then anything is possible. Yes, anything is possible. One day, or maybe for 1 week, we'll be able to finish a show in less than 30 minutes. But it is what it is. You and I are passionate. We went over again. I think the ups they're gonna send us either a 2 week notice or a warning after this
Yeah.
one. Again, though, it is what it is. Trevor Beggs, Kyle Bowen again tomorrow. Sunshine State of a Happy Camper is available wherever you stream music. Cody Lawless doing his thing. I'm going to put the link to that in the bio below. There's none of this without the music that was being made and still is being made in this studio that I'm sitting in. Beggsy, sign us out.
All right, that's another episode of Locked On Canucks in the books. Shout out to the everydayers, the occasional listeners. And if this is your first time listening, welcome. We love you. Make sure you stay a little while because we got shows coming out 5 days a week. Coming up over the next few days, obviously some free agency talk, obviously some trade talk, obviously a little bit of draft talk. It's all happening right now, baby. Let's go. So make sure you stay locked here on Locked On Canucks. I'm Trevor Beggs. That's Kyle Bowen. And thanks again for listening here on Locked On Canucks.